everybody. This is Dr. Lori Shemek.
And I'm Omar Cumberbatch. You're listening to This Podcast Burns Fat. Hey, Lori, how are you today?
Hi, Omar. I'm doing wonderful today. Yes. Really excited about our new guest. Got me going for the weekend.
Oh, tell me about it. I'm about to jump on the website.
Dr. Barrie Tan, we just interviewed, and he's a PhD, a biochemist, and a chemist, and the discoverer of tocotrienols, which is a form of vitamin E, an incredible discovery. And within that discovery is the form annatto. And so this is going to be a really great show, in terms of all areas of health, wouldn't you say, Omar?
Absolutely. Like I said, I'm going to jump on the website and probably grab it because he was really phenomenal in just describing the tons of health benefits that vitamin E has, and even historically, just going back to just some of the misconceptions that vitamin E had in the 80s that maybe put people off from it. And he's just rediscovering just the reason of that issue back then, and just the research now that he's coming out and is continually to be putting out regarding the amazing benefits is really, really interesting. And I thought it was a phenomenal show.
Yeah, so interesting about his discovery of annatto, which is tocotrienol. And I'm just really excited for our audience to hear him today because they'll enjoy it, I'm sure, as much as we did.
Absolutely. So let's jump into it.
Okay.
Hey, Dr. Tan, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I am well. Thank you. I'm looking
Fantastic.
Forward to this, to join you too.
Oh, thank you so much. We're so excited to have you here. Dr. Barrie Tan, you are a PhD, a biochemist, and a chemist, and the discoverer of tocotrienols. And tell me if I'm saying that right.
Yeah, the tocotrienol.
Tocotrienol.
Many people affectionately call it tocos.
Okay, we will do that. So welcome, Dr. Tan. And, you have said in the past that there is the wrong way to eat, quote unquote. And I don't know if that's a good way to start off with our interview today, but I just thought that was just so great because it truly is a powerful statement.
Yeah. When we talk about the wrong way to eat, oftentimes people are eating because of the calories that we need. And other people speak about this too. Not only the calories we eat, but also the nutrients that carry those calories. So because of that, a simplistic way would be how much protein we eat, carbohydrate, and fat. So that would be what we call the bulk things, the bulk ingredient that carry what we eat. And for me, I think that, we don't need to eat as much carbohydrate as would be. And then for fat, many people out there already written about that, to eat the right fat. And for protein, increasing more protein is not a bad idea, with the sole exception for people that may have kidney problem, and then they can't process amino acid as well. So then they may have to talk to their doctor about lessening the protein. Otherwise, increased protein, less carbohydrate, and having the right fats is good. So that would be the right way to eat.
Oh, that's excellent. So, Doctor, before we jump into just the hardcore stuff about vitamin E, I wanted to just give you an opportunity to just present, your background as well. We're going to definitely touch on that because it's very important. And how, of all the vitamins in the world, what made you particularly interested in vitamin E?
Wow. Well, thank you for allowing me to do this. A quick background would be I'm not born in this country. I live in this country now for about 45 years. I was born and raised in Malaysia, in Southeast Asia. I am ethnically Chinese. My parents were from China. I don't know much about China. I was born mostly British Commonwealth upbringing almost all my life until I came to the US. And I went to school in New Zealand, University of Otago, got both my chemistry and with a strong emphasis on biochemistry, with a small time stint in the late 1970s, I believe, in Auburn University, Alabama, where I did my postdoc. I got into cancer research, and thereafter, I came to University of Massachusetts in Amherst, a flagship school here in this state, as a chemistry professor, later in food science and nutrition. And then one step led to another. I really wanted to do research outside. Mostly, I wanted to do that because if I discover something, I find something, oftentimes a professor and his students would publish a piece of paper. That would be the final outcome. It's good, nothing wrong with that. I felt that for me, that was insufficient. If I finish and write and discover something, then it's not yet reducible to practice. What do I mean by that? That means that the public cannot benefit except for the information. I need to figure out how to get the material so people can use it. To do that, I need to be in a company. So I started the company American River Nutrition to do research findings. So I'm still highly research conscious, as you can see. But when I discover something, I want it to be accessible. People not only just accessible of the knowledge, but accessible of getting the ingredient. That's it. That's my, in a nutshell, that was my background.
Fantastic.
You want to interact with that, or should I just now explain why I believe, why I got into vitamin E?
Yeah, I was just, we're really curious if how you can tell us how you were able to discover tocotrienols, what they are, the most optimal new form of vitamin E, which is annatto, I believe, and straighten out the confusion that many have about vitamin E. They believe, many do, that vitamin E is just vitamin E from wheat germ, for example. And so what you've discovered is annatto, which I think our audience is really going to be happy to learn about.
Yeah, I think on that, I should add into the discussion, because your audience may probably know this. In the 1980s and 90s, vitamin E, as in alpha tocopherol, was big time. I remember that because I was still an aspiring assistant professor at university. And then I worked with at the time, I was studying palm oil. And then I discovered palm oil, besides having alpha tocopherol, it had other things in it. They look like vitamin E, but they're not alpha tocopherol. And over time, I discovered that they contain tocotrienol. Tocotrienol and tocopherol is part of the vitamin E family. The only singular difference is the tail. Just think of the molecule looking like a tadpole or a sperm. Just look like that. Instead of the head. The head is an antioxidant, and the tail. So the tail of a tocotrienol is shorter because it's got 3 double bonds, and hence the word tri-ene, 3 double bond. And then the tocopherol is saturated tail, no double bond. That's it. A saturated vitamin E is tocopherol, and unsaturated vitamin E is tocotrienol. The audience probably heard about saturated fat and unsaturated fat. Similarly, would be the same. It contains double bond or not. If it does contain double bond in the tail, it's a tocotrienol. So as far as antioxidant properties are concerned, tocopherol and tocotrienol share the same, except tocotrienol is more potent. But let me stay with the main idea. So that was in the 1990s. So a lot of very large company put in oodles of money in large scale study with alpha tocopherol. They started, the study showed up somewhere in the mid-90s all the way into 2010, and almost all the study bombed. And it says that vitamin E didn't work at best. At best, it didn't work. And at worst, may cause breast cancer, prostate cancer, and all-cause mortality. So if I were to be a consumer reading that in the news, I am not going to touch vitamin E with a 10-foot pole. Right. And I was in the, and I want to do this because your audience who's listening and they're going to be burning with this question. So I want to affirm that, yes, those studies were done in Harvard Medical School, and there were 20 to 30,000. You cannot wiggle out of that. So, but now studies are coming up to try to understand why is that like that? when alpha tocopherol was supposed to be good for so many years before. And then there's confusion in it, actually maybe ignorance in it. Alpha tocopherol was discovered as a vitamin, as in E, because alphabetically it was the next letter would be E, so that's arbitrary, but it was a vitamin because alpha tocopherol is able to bring the fetus to full term. So it's actually a birth vitamin. Actually, almost 90% of the people don't know that. It's not for any other reason, but for that reason, it became a vitamin like that, But then most of the people know alpha tocopherol as an antioxidant, not a birth vitamin. If it were to be a birth vitamin, then no men should take it. I will be surprised if men have a fetus, So all this, I know I'm trying to be funny here, but you see, so it's just kind of like lost in translation. So antioxidant. So it was banging on if the alpha tocopherol would do something. It didn't, and it may even cause some harm. So categorically document this. So if the audience later want to have a free copy of my book, I did this as a labor of love. You can come to my webpage, and the truth about vitamin E. I explain this in many details about why excess vitamin E, as in alpha tocopherol, is not needed in our body and potentially can do some harm. I documented it over 10 years of my career with vitamin E. So now, in the middle of this, I'm doing the research. I discovered it in palm oil. Then I next discovered in rice and the brown rice bran oil. And now I figured this thing out with annatto. If you would have three things, rice have 50-50. Meaning half tocopherol, half tocotrienol. That's how the plant makes it in rice bran. If it is in a palm, it's 25-75, 25% tocopherol, 75% tocotrienol. When I did these two findings, I had already spent 20 years of my life. I'm getting tired. So I decided I told my wife, I got to stop. I got to look for something else. Actually, all along, I was a carotenoid chemist. And that means beta-carotene, lycopene, astaxanthin, all these other wonderful things. And lutein is good for macular degeneration, all these things. I was in that before I was in tocotrienol. So I told Elizabeth, my wife, I need to go back to my first love in chemical, and it's carotenoid. And about 1994, there was a ophthalmologist. Her name is Johanna Seedon at Harvard Medical School. She published a paper saying to help elderly with macular degeneration. She said that the entire span of the retina is laden with lutein. It helped to filter blue light and able to keep the eyes better. I said, oh, this is cool. And it's lutein, it's a carotene. And I know that in South America, they have giant marigold flower. Then on the petal, then you can extract this lutein. So I was wanting to reduce this to a meaningful application so people can use it. So I went to South America. I think that you can think of it as fate. You can think of it as I was in the right place and God showed me something. It was an epiphany moment. I went there. I went there to look for marigold lutein. I did find marigold lutein in this giant marigold. I discussed this in the book. Then fate has it. 30 feet away from me is this annatto plant. My entire thing was arrested. I wish we're on video. I can show you a picture of this. The pod is the fruit, and inside it has a lot of seeds. It doesn't have flesh. It is the only plant species I know that contain a fruit that have no flesh. Everything you know when you eat a fruit, you eat the flesh, the mesocarp. It doesn't have a mesocarp. So, and then if you touch the annatto, it stains your hand. And the British nicknamed this annatto as the lipstick plant because of the staining of the color, intense red. And the color is a carotene. So let me now encapsulate this and tell you of my discovery. If you think of carotene in nature, like beta carotene in carrot, like lycopene in tomato, like astaxanthin in lobster or crustacean, they are all bound because they are highly, highly unstable. So in the carrot and tomato, they are bound in the cytoplasm. And in the lobster, they are proteinated, so it's holding together. So when you cook them, they deproteinate, then you see the astaxanthin, as in shrimp, like crawdads.
It turns pink, yeah.
And all, it turns into red or pink color. Mm-hmm. So in other words, all that to show you they are bound to protect the carotene. Except in the annatto, it's not like that. It literally stains your hand. So that was when I asked the prophetic hypothesis. I said, there must be a powerful antioxidant that protect the carotene in annatto. I expected in my discovery it would be a polyphenol because there are many polyphenols antioxidant. It isn't. It is tocotrienol, and it is the only 2 of the 8 most potent vitamin E I have ever known in my life. By that time, I have already studied tocotrienol for more than 20 years, maybe like 25 years. I started at the university. It was then when I discovered it only contained delta and gamma tocotrienol and is free of tocopherol. That was when I said, wow, if tocotrienol is supposed to do all this other wonderful stuff, this annatto tocotrienol better do. And then if it does, I must figure out a way how to get this tocotrienol out of annatto. So I was simultaneously doing research in what it could do and also trying to find out how I can extract this so that people can use it. So that was my story. Sorry, I took a little bit too long to explain that, but that was my moment in my life.
And I have to say, brilliant of you to even ask that question when you were standing right there. But anyway.
Yeah, no, that is really good. And I guess to kind of get my head around it, because you did say a bunch of different things as regarding rice and like the actual difference between the, forgive me if I'm saying it wrong, tocopherols versus the tocotrienols. So this plant is dominant as far as having the higher ratio, because isn't it that the tocopherols hinder the body's ability to absorb the tocotrienol?
Yes, it does. And well, first to answer your general question, normally in the plant kingdom, they make a mix of tocopherols and tocotrienol. And then like that. They just come like that. In most of the American diets, we would have, I'll give you an example, soybean oil and corn oil, this polyunsaturated fat. If you were to draw a chart, it will contain roughly 98, 99% tocopherol and about 1 to 2% tocotrienol. So you can just have a picture in your head. If you got it from coconut oil, pistachio, or avocado oil, then maybe 95% tocopherol up to 5% tocotrienol. You'll be like that. Then if you go to rice, it's 50-50. You go to palm, it would be 25% tocopherol, 75% tocotrienol. Now you get to annatto, 100% tocotrienol, 0% tocopherol. You got it? So that's it. That is how it is, and you can't change them because the plant makes it. And if you ask me, why does annatto do it like that? I thought the plant kingdom have it is a symphony. It doesn't make a single component. If it's a single component, that's allopathic, allopathy. Doctors do that. It's a single thing, but the plant kingdom is always a mixture. Generally, it is. And why does annatto make it? I can only guess. Annatto makes the tocotrienol the most potent vitamin E to protect the carotene on the annatto color from decomposition. That's my guess. And keep that in mind.
Which is protective of the plant as well.
And of the plant, yeah. Remember, the plant never make anything for human being. We just got it wrong in our head. We are fortunate that we are able to benefit from the plant. The plant never makes it for human being. They make it for themselves. like that. So they make the tocotrienol to protect the color from the color from changing and have the aromatic smell. So if you look at the plant, you can Google and look at the annatto beautiful plant, or I can send you a picture. When you do, it actually deceives the birds of the air, deceive the Amazonian frog, so they'll swallow the seed thinking that it is a fruit. And then when they poop off, that's how they procreate. That's it. I just explained to you that's how the plant makes it, like that. So they have to make the most potent vitamin E to protect the degradation of the carotenes.
That is very interesting. So you've been working on research for a while now, right? And some new research as well. And I know part of it involves inflammation. I would love to hear more about what's going on in terms of the chronic disease, fatty liver you've been working on that actually can help benefit many people.
Yeah, let's do that. Since I've been worked on this for almost 40 years, and it's a slow train coming, but now it's coming to fruition. In the first 20 years, we don't know what tocotrienol can do besides being an antioxidant like tocopherol. So we did copious amount of animal study. Mostly it pans out in the chronic condition side, animal study. So with the success of the animal study, we decided, okay, in the last 10 years, we will up the amp on doing clinical trials. So a short remark would be, we did a whole mess of clinical trials, probably 20 over of them, all chronic condition. How about I do this? I'll tell you the clinical trials that we did and are still doing. And then you tell me what cherry pick would you like to ask me question? Then I'll make this very efficient.
Okay.
First, we did clinical trials on people with lipidemia, high cholesterol, triglyceride like that. And if they have problem, then they have arteriosclerosis. We did that. Then we started to do healthy seniors. They have no chronic condition other than the healthy seniors. And then we look at different blood-borne markers, inflammation, oxidized fat, stuff like that. And then we decided that, okay, let's study people with pre-diabetes. We have 90 million Americans with pre-diabetes, and then study them. The sugar is high, normal high, but not in the diabetic range. We study them. And then we start studying people with diabetes. The insulin is not functioning properly. The triglyceride is high. The sugar is gone off the roof. We study that. And then we study postmenopausal women with osteopenia. That means they're not osteoporotic, and study how it would help them to resist bone mass. Then we actually did all of this study. It's just amazing. And we are a small company. So every dime we make, we put this. I am so adverse to people taking tocotrienol, considering tocotrienol as a snake oil. I'm all in and do all of this, and let people decide. So this is really, I can live with myself, if I do this. And then we start doing two more. America, we have 35% people who are overweight and obese. Not a good thing. So in Texas, we're doing a study on adult women and adult men who are obese, and they carry a lot of inflammation in their body. And that study is still ongoing. I'm holding my breath on what it can do to reduce the inflammation that is carried by these people. And then the last study, we did the longest one of them all, and the most thorough one of them all is fatty liver. These are all chronic conditions. So they clearly have fatty liver. We completed a 3-month study, completed a 6-month study, and we just finished a 12-month study. So these are all the clinical trials we're doing. However, one last one, and the last one is some people consider this chronic, and some people consider, whoa, man, these are good study, but we cannot talk about them. No, we cannot put it on a label, but we are allowed to conduct the study.
Yeah, so you can't make health claims on a label, unfortunately, because there's so much evidence for some nutrients that people should know about, like this, for example.
Well, on this last one, this is Dr. Maggie, I don't know if you know what I'm going to say yet. In animal studies, we have about almost 500 papers on how tocotrienol directly nail cancer. So after 500 papers and nobody is doing clinical trials, they said, this is ludicrous. So I'm going in a direction you did not expect. We have 8 clinical trials in Denmark, 8 clinical trials in Denmark, and we are studying people with end-stage cancer. I can talk about the study. I cannot put it on my label. It's fine. The audience will do what they need to do. I'm going to disclose the study. So the 4 cancers we are studying in Denmark we have, some of them have 2 or 3 studies like that. So 8 trial on 4 cancer: ovarian cancer, breast cancer, lung cancer, and colon cancer. We're not able to do all the cancers. We do what we can. And in the US, others are doing on pancreatic cancer. Is the deadliest of all cancers. So we're having it. The only study that had been published on the cancer one is ovarian cancer. Remember, I said it's end-stage cancer. There's no option like that. So they're taking Avastin. This is a drug to control the growth of the blood vessel. They feed the tumor. The tumor is getting large. And so another group, we have Avastin. We cannot have them not take Avastin. And then we give them tocotrienol. So that is the only 2 comparison we have. It's a randomized study, not double blind. You cannot do double blind study on this. After 6 months on the Avastin group, nobody lived. So it's a very somber study because they're already end stage. And in the one that Avastin and tocotrienol, 60% still live after 6 months. And they insisted that the study has to continue. They cannot do the first group because you cannot do study that people are not there. So the second group continued. And after 24 months, 2 years, 25% still surviving. So
that's
I have
amazing.
Hope. I know. I thought I have hope on this. What am I going to do when I'm finished? I don't know. I'm going to carry all the study and I'm going to show it to FDA. Said, what would you allow me to do? If they say nothing, then I can't do anything. But I'm not stopping the study. So that is the cancer thing. I know.
Can I ask you, was there a dosage that you used?
Yes, 900 milligrams. They take higher dose.
Not annatto, right?
No, annatto.
Annatto, okay.
So we're giving them so in other words, now it's a little double-edged sword. If it works so well, it may sound congratulatory. I don't want the FDA to knock on my door and say, well, Dr. Tan, this is working so well. See, I know they're going to ask me something I'm not going to like. He said, it's working so well, then your annatto tocotrienol should be regulated as a drug. See, if they go there,
right? I
don't know. I want to go there. Yeah, if it become a pharmaceutical, then I'm going to make a lot of money. I am not. I don't need that. I'm blessed. I can make a living. I want the FDA to allow me to say something. I'm not yet there.
Good luck.
I know, Dr. Tan. I'm thinking that they're gonna knock on your door and kill you.
I know. So if they do that, then there's not good news for me.
I know.
But
you're very optimistic.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
However, Congress has already passed a law, so I'm there's a little light at the end of the tunnel that under the Compassionate Care Act, when there are no options available, Congress had already signed into law that experimental drugs may be used under those conditions. So this is under the Compassionate Care Act. When there are no options available, experimental drug can be. So I can prove to the FDA, we do not have any safety issue. And the options are none. So they may be possible. So I'm doing that only to look up into heaven to say, I hope the study is positive. If and when the study are positive, then we'll see where we can go. So you don't have
So back to your studies, in addition to all the benefits you saw, did you see anything else that occurred?
You mean anything else in the other chronic condition or anything else?
Such as with inflammation, chronic disease, fatty liver?
Yes, of course. On the lipidemia thing, the cholesterol drop typically about 15 to 20%. On people who have dietary concern of cholesterol increase, I drop that. And then while we were doing that, I noticed the triglyceride drop. And as a scientist, I know hypertriglyceridemia is a starting point of people with pre-diabetes. And I met Gerald Reaven, the Professor Reaven from Stanford, many years ago when he was about to retire. I caught him and he was finishing a talk, asking him, can you just give me understanding on how this pre-diabetes and diabetes cluster thing is? And then he simply said to me a brilliant one sentence. I never forgot it. And then he said, whether it's pre-diabetes or diabetes, hypertriglyceridemia always precedes hyperglycemia. If you get that, then you got it, because this is a metabolic problem. So that means high triglyceride always precedes high sugar. So that in pre-diabetes, high triglyceride. People with diabetes, they have high triglyceride, which people don't maybe pay enough attention, and high sugar. So therefore, if you can address high triglyceride, then the sugar should be able to take care of itself. And in our high cholesterol study, I noticed the triglyceride consistently dropped. It was that instruct me to say, I am going to go all out to study people with pre-diabetes. And if I have success in them, then I will study the type 2 diabetes. And we have published on this. Tocotrienol work to mitigate high triglyceride and to mitigate sugar. I'm really very pleased to see that.
The success of fatty liver in your trial too.
Okay. And then after we have that, thank you, Doctor, for asking. And when we have that, we decided to go after the fatty liver thing, because the fatty liver is also another subset of people with metabolic syndrome, like diabetic, but they are not diabetic in this case. So we first did a 3-month study. And in the 3-month study, I gave some direction to the professor who was doing the study, and he's much better in this than I could. I said, people who have fatty liver, their liver enzymes are increased. So he said, can you see if the liver enzyme under stress are not increased? So they study ALT, AST, and the ALT, AST drop about 20%. So I was very encouraged by that. So I said, okay, then let's design a 6-month study and you look at more other markers. He did a 6-month study, and then here he have FIB4. FIB4 is a fibrosis score. He did that. It's a measurement. So he did that. And then he studied HOMA-IR, the measuring of insulin resistance of people who have fatty liver. And he noticed that it still worked. And then he published both of them. So finally, we decided with Anne, my director here, he said, let's do a 12-month study to do all this. So when he did the 12-month study, of course, the liver enzyme dropped. And then he measured inflammation, the inflammation dropped. He measured fibrosis using CAT scan, and the fibrosis. When you have too much fat in the liver, it causes fibrosis, scarring tissue, and the fibrosis is contained. And I said, this is going to be important, because 25 to 30% of Americans have fatty liver disease. So he's soon going to publish this. I said, this is going to be nothing that I know can address this. So I just said, I'm waiting for him to publish this, and then we'll make announcement. In fact, after we publish this, you should do a specific interview with me just on fatty liver. You will sure to have audience, because 25 to 30% American have fatty liver, and there are no option. We don't have that many liver to have liver transplant. When the liver is past a certain stage, it can't go back. It can. So I'm really thrilled.
Fantastic information. Yeah.
So, Doc, I mean, with all the things from inflammation, fatty liver, and the insulin issue that this is actually helping with, I can't help but ask, did you notice any findings on the weight loss front after these long studies?
Wow, thank you for asking. Yeah, and now that was not part of our study. And he actually reported in a 3 month, remember we have a 3, 6, and 12 month study. They're different study. They're not like you do after 3 months, you get this data. After 6 months, you get that data. And it's not the same study. They're separate, independent, mutually exclusive study. So they're considered 3 independent studies. In a 3 month study, he reported, he said, well, Dr. Tan, this patient lost 10 pounds. Then I said, really? He said, do we have an understanding how they lose? He said, no. He said, but we're keeping score. They did lose 10 pounds, nothing to sneeze at. That's more than 3 kilograms. So that's something. So I said, okay. So in a 6 month study, he did that. And then I had actually forgotten about the weight loss thing, but he continued to look at the weight loss. And then he saw that it's statistically significant, by the way. It's 17 pound loss. I said, oh, wait a minute. So I mean, I'm not expecting 10, 17, and then 12 months, you'll go to 25 pounds. Not that if that is, I'm super happy. But I just want to know that the weight loss is sustained and stay at weight loss. So the 3 month, 6 month, 10, 17, and then the 12 month study, because he hasn't published it, so the audience, but I can say this, the 12 month study, the weight loss also happened. So I can say this, with 3 studies, not one, weight loss is consistent over 3, 6, and 12 months. So now I am very hopeful. And the doctor who did the work said that, Barrie, even though we did not design the study for weight loss, he said that there's nothing not to like that if they have weight loss for people who have metabolic syndrome. By the way, these people are overweight people. So therefore, weight loss, because some of them are borderline obese, but they are definitely overweight. So the weight loss is sustained. Minimum, I would say, over 3, 6, and 12 months, a minimum weight loss of 10 pounds, possibly more, but at least 10 pounds. So I'm grateful for that because the audience quickly can figure out on the weight loss issue. But when they talk to the doctor for blood work, they see that the inflammation and all the other things that Omar mentioned that I suggested earlier, they also see those conditions drop. So this is a wonderful sign on something that I discovered 25 years ago in the Amazonia from an annatto plant. And it's not a strange plant. If you go to Whole Food or something, you see the yellowish orangey color on your cheese, on the back, that natural color is from annatto. That's it.
That's fantastic. That is it. And again, it was brilliant that you at that moment realized there could be potential here. So, congratulations. And, and we're all benefiting from it, actually. So there is another compound, if you will, called GG. It is, and I'm going to try and pronounce it, geranylgeraniol.
Yes, you're doing really well. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for asking. I know our time is about to run out. Yes, when I was doing this annatto thing, I extracted the vitamin E that protect the keratin. And then I noticed that there's always some light yellowish color, light orangey color like that left behind. And it's not the keratin and not the tocotrienol. I didn't know what it was. I left it there for a little while. Then my curiosity as a scientist came in and said, I got to figure out what this thing is, even though we're not using it. Then I studied them and said, this is this compound called geranylgeraniol. Hey, this is a big deal. He said, so when I first saw it, I tell you what, this geranylgeraniol, let's acronize GG, is the last common step between not one animal to the next. It's the last common step between a plant and an animal. That's way back, So in a plant, GG is used for the synthesis of carotenoid like lutein, beta carotene. All of us know this. GG is required for the synthesis of all the vitamin E, including tocotrienol. Voila. So see, GG is used for synthesis of tocotrienol in annatto and in many other things. And GG is used for the synthesis of many polyphenols. Another time I can explain that. That's in the plant kingdom.
Okay.
In the animal, GG is required. I'll just say simplistically, they are probably a lot more than this, but for 3. And I'll tell you the 3 that I currently know. If you ask me another 6 months, I can do more. GG is required. Please listen, the audience, and for you too. Once you get it, you are never going to leave GG. This is how your body makes it. Your body makes GG to begin with, and you use GG to make 3 things. GG is required in your body for the synthesis of skeletal muscle protein. 40% of our body weight is skeletal muscle. And just try to think of, as we age, we have sarcopenia, loss of muscle mass. You can dream about that. So that's that one. If a person have cancer, they have cancer cachexia. You know where that is going with that?
More muscle loss.
More muscle loss. If a person is taking statin, the most common condition is myopathy. In each of these 3 things, whether it's caused by a drug, caused by a cancer disease, or by the aging process, there is muscle mass loss. And that muscle mass loss for these 3 conditions, which cover a huge amount of condition, is because that it decimates GG, whether by drug like statin, by aging with the loss of making GG, or by cancer cachexia like that. With that loss, GG is unable to help the body to make skeletal muscle. Therefore, the loss of GG is underwriting the reason behind the making of muscular protein. That's it.
That is a really important point, is particularly because when we age, we cannot, the muscle is not absorbed or synthesized rather as easy as it was when we were younger. And if you're anywhere over the age of 50, you understand and have seen that process. Even if you're eating enough protein and eating and exercising, you can still see some. For most people.
The way I explained that, thank you for mentioning that to allow me. When you take amino acid and protein, I call that the fuel to make the protein. That's correct. When you exercise, you increase the body ability to create resistance, and it continue to build muscle. Also correct. Even in the elderly or people at any age. The GG role is not like those. Those roles are important. You got to have the fuel. You got to do exercise to bring in. What is the role of GG? This is very simple and very mechanical. Pardon me, I'm going to put it in the simplest language.
Right.
How does the body make protein? People don't ask that a lot. They are made in the DNA. This is how the body makes protein. This is not how we eat protein, how we make it. You don't eat protein and then the protein just show up in your body exactly as the protein you eat. That would be naive. It doesn't happen like that. If you eat protein, they're all chopped up into amino acid, goes in, and then we have 20 essential amino acids. When you have a protein, let's say you have a protein that 10 amino acids. You have 20 essential amino acids. If that protein had 10 it is a very small amino acid, 10, you have 20 essential amino acids. You know what that thing is? It will be 20 to the power of 10. When you make the calculation 20 to the power of 10, it will freak you out. The number will be in the billion. So therefore, it's not so random like that. It's made using the DNA in the nucleus. So the DNA in the nucleus are very specific. It is specifically making a very specific protein our body make. I'm pretty sure nobody in your program talk like that. This is how protein is being made. So
you're the first. Yes.
So the DNA said, okay, you're wired up. You got to make, let's say, insulin, for example, which is a small protein because the molecular weight is only 5,000. You got to stitch it exactly this way. I need this amino acid, 1, and 2, and 3, 4. So let's say that insulin has about 10 amino acids. I'm fictionalizing. It's just cartoonizing. After it make about 5 amino acids precisely, remember you have 20 options of amino acid, you got to stitch it exactly the same. Otherwise, the insulin cannot recognize glucose. After you make about 5, that half made insulin molecule is already beginning to look like an albatross. So if you do this, the DNA can hold it together. So there is an anchor, a hook to hold it together when it's partially made. That unassuming, quiet hook in our body is GG. Would you believe it?
So
it's just holding it together until the whole protein, the albatross, is made. Then they have other protein that deliver this protein to this part of your body, to that part of your body, to make eyeball, to make hair, to make skin, to make collagen, to make whatever, teeth. These are all protein, nail that we can see, and all the other protein in the body we cannot see. So all this, GG is an unassuming factor. So when we don't,
right, because
have
everything
GG,
downstream that is important that we lose as we age, not just muscle, but CoQ10, bone health, testosterone.
Yeah, now that you mentioned CoQ10, I go to the second one. The entire synthesis of CoQ10, that whole long tail of CoQ10, it had 2.5 molecule of GG. So that one is easy for chemists to feel, oh, it just got the whole molecule, 2.5 times the molecule, synthesis of CoQ10. And then the third one, so clearly the protein is the biggest one. And then the third one would be, everybody talk about manoquinone, and most people talk about manoquinone 7. I think it's misdirected. Manoquinone 7 and 9 and 11 and 13, they are fermented. And people talk about natto, they talk about cheese, they talk about kefir, all these things that people take, they're all fermented things. And kimchi, yes, they make all those MK7 and higher length manoquinone. However, the message that is not out, you two got to get this and then interview other people. I'm not the only one doing this. The only, I say only, manoquinone make inside your human body, not fermented, is MK4.
And not MK7, which most of us
take. Not MK7. So that begs the question, why is our body making MK4? I don't want to hear about other MK. I want to know about MK4 because our body is making it. So I'll tell you this. If you eat green leafy vegetable, you have phylloquinone, that's vitamin K1. Everybody know that. A fixed and a small amount go in the body to help us in the clotting factor for any tear and wear in the body. The other part of the MK1, phylloquinone, which is vitamin K1, that it just, our body have special machine, enzyme that cut the tail off. The tail is flushed off. And then the ring goes into the body. Can you know that? Evolutionary, the ring goes in. Only a fixed small amount of the whole molecule goes in. That's the K1. We already agreed to that. Help us in the clotting factor. The ring goes in. After it go in, you almost think that I am unbelievable, but this is factual. I hope the Japanese scientists who figure this out, they are going to be nominated for the Nobel Prize for this. Not me, they. The ring goes in, and they have figured out in more than 25 organs in the body.
Wow.
The ring goes in, it look for GG. I am kidding you not.
Wow.
For GG, and it stitched the GG to the ring. After it stitched, that is MK4. So MK4 is evolutionarily designed, made in the human body to do many functions. Among the many functions MK4 does, several are already known that I know of, more to come in the future for sure. The ones that I know are these. It helps in anti-arteriosclerosis. It helps in bringing the calcium to the bone so that we don't lose bone mass. And it helps in the autism spectrum. They are very varied, and more will come like that. And now we got this GG from the annatto plant. And as we age, we don't make enough GG. And you wonder why we don't make enough CoQ10? Well, don't waste any time. We don't make enough CoQ10 because we don't have enough GG. That's the reason why we don't make enough GG. That's why we supplement CoQ10. If somebody takes statin and CoQ10 would drop, oh my goodness, you should be supplementing. So right now we have supplementing GG for CoQ10. Right now we're having a clinical trial in Texas. I really hope the audience get this because about 40 to 60 million people take statin drug for many things, including pleiotropic things. We're having a study in Texas where people take statin for high cholesterol with confirmed myopathy. And then we have them run on a treadmill. They're going to feel some pain. And then we have another group to take GG to see if GG would mitigate the myopathy, because GG will fix the ability to make the protein. If that study come out, this would bless many, many people, because the doctor is not going to stop them taking statin drugs to lower the cholesterol. So would you believe it? I was given a gift by somebody up there to find out about this annatto, and this annatto produces GG. I was going to throw it all away because I was already happy with my tocotrienol. I said, wait a minute, what is this thing left there? I study it, and then I found, oh my goodness, this GG is not a nothing. This is going to be tail that wags the dog. I thought the tocotrienol would be the dog that's barking, but then I said, wow, the tail that wags the dog is not just a sidekick. It's a very important molecule. So I'm just so blessed by being able to live in this country, doing this. Making this in Massachusetts, and I can bring this to people. So if you can bring the news out to your fantastic audience in time to come, I will be glad to be part of it.
Well, we are blessed to have you. Absolutely. This is a gift, truly.
Yeah, and absolutely. And I know that the audience, after hearing you, I know myself, I'm ready to run out and get some. So how do we do that? And just really talk about, like, just again, how we can get our hands on this wonderful.
And what is the optimal dosage? For
Okay, I'll answer the optimal dosage and how you can get. We make this in bulk. In other words, when we make it, we make it in the 55-gallon drums and 1 ton tote or buckets of 15 kg. So we don't sell finished product. And when I'm not doing that, I spend the time in science, which is unusual, like that, So most people like me would spend the time how to make more money. I really believe in the science. So I spend a lot of time with clinical study on it. So dosage. On the tocotrienol, if I were to be on just antioxidant protection, depending on my weight, anywhere from 100 to 200 milligrams, somewhere in between, this is fine. If I have a mild chronic condition, like pre-diabetes or something like that, or family history of blah, blah, blah like that, then it'd be 200 to about 300 or 400, again, depend on weight, like that. So mild chronic condition like pre-diabetes. If I have a serious condition, and I'm not allowed to say what the serious conditions are, otherwise I get myself in trouble, but I can tell people the clinical studies like that, then probably somewhere from 400 to 500. In all our high-end clinicals, in all our clinical study on fatty liver, they take 600 milligrams. In all our cancer study, 800 milligrams. But I cannot say if they have this, they take this, otherwise I get in trouble. But I can tell people what amount we use for serious condition. So those will be the dosage.
Annatto.
Annatto tocotrienol for Dr. Shimak that you asked me on that. On where you can get, on GG. On the GG, on the myopathy study, we study 150 and 300 milligrams. We do those dosage. There's also a Japanese study that showed that this would increase the testosterone. In the Japanese study, they're interested in that for the elderly to have thrive, so that they have the testosterone to help them to work. In the US, people want to have high testosterone because of the bedroom thing. Like that, it's fine. So we're studying. We're doing that study now, and like that study, we should know the result the second half of this year, and because GG stimulate testosterone. So we're doing 100 and 300 milligram study in the Texas. That's the Florida study, by the way. The Texas study of people with confirmed myopathy I mentioned, also 100 and 150 and 300 milligram. So I answered the dosage. Where can you get it? If you go to my website, American River Nutrition, www American River Nutrition. We list all the companies you can buy them. If you ask me on the internet who I would buy it from, I trust a health professional company really well, and they're called Designs for Health. Design plural, Designs for Health. But the other company, if they do annatto tocotrienol, it would be from us. We're the only company doing it. And for GG, we're definitely the only company in the world doing, and we're committed to do all kinds of clinical trials. For me, this is a fantastic thing, I'm supposed to be retiring by now. I'm seeing this wonderful.
Well, you don't look like you're retired.
I've got so much energy. I wanted to bear this thing out. And then the last one, and I know I have to, we all have to go soon. I discovered something during the pandemic. Maybe God is designing people to stick around a lot longer. I was fooling around to see how I can make CoQ10, because CoQ10 is also dropped as we age. It's good for the heart, good for the cardiovascular thing. I decided to give time to figure out, can I make ubiquinol? Ubiquinol is fine. Our body converts ubiquinol to ubiquinol, but I decided that if I can make ubiquinol, it absorbs better. So I was fooling around in the lab because I can't go other ways to get distracted by giving talks and then fly everywhere. So I stay around here with my chemist. I figure out a way to make ubiquinol. And this ubiquinol is really unique because it's ubiquinol plus GG. You already know GG is required for the synthesis of CoQ10. And I combine them. So this would be a perfect, it's called duoquinol. D is a synthesized word as a trademark. DUOQUINOL. If you Google duoquinol or you go to my website, please download the technical literature and read yourself. This is fantastic. So we have ubiquinol and GG combined like that. And it will be great for people who are taking statin. It will be great for people, all the things I mentioned about GG before. It will be great for that. And this is combined with CoQ10. So we only make 3 products, truth be told, tocotrienol, GG, and then this duoquinol I mentioned. I would love, I know our time is up. I would love you that when our results come up, be in contact with Jen, the person who arranged this for me. And then when the result come out, have an interview of me, of what is the outcome of all the different studies we do, all the way from tocotrienol, from the cancer trial, from the fatty liver disease, the GG with testosterone boosting, the cardiopathy thing, and then the duoquinol thing. Nothing makes me happier when the audience study this and then read this, and they actually found this useful, and then they're sending email to you too, and then in drips and drabs, you tell me, say, Barrie, this thing worked for this and that. I mean, how glad can I be?
Well, you are a blessing. And we are definitely going to do part 2, a follow-up with the research.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So I hope you have a wonderful weekend. We certainly keep in touch. We post our news of the finding we have on our website periodically like that. So please come on. This is one. And if you're ever in New England, I know Omar is not far from here. If you come here, let us show you around. We only have 25,000 square feet in Hadley, Mass. So we're not like in a ginormous.
So tiny. Just kidding. Thank you so much, Dr. Barrie Tan, today.
Yeah, awesome information. Yes. Yeah, and I'll take you up on that offer. I'll go for the tour.
Thank you much.
Thank you.
All right. You too, Doc.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of This Podcast Burns Fat. We're so excited to have you as a listener, and we're hoping that you've really enjoyed the content as well. And if you did, please run over to iTunes and provide a rating and or review. It will go a long way in helping us continuously build our listenership up so that we can provide you with excellent content regarding fat loss, weight management, and just an overall healthy lifestyle. Thanks so much. Have a great night.